very distinctively Volvo. Yep, it's the XC40. Been a lot happening with the XC40 lately. They launched the electric version, the P8 in South Africa not that long ago, and I drove that for a short time, hopefully going to get on a full test soon. But this is the standard, can I call it, XC40. The T5. You get T3, T4, T5. What does T5 tell you? Well, it's a 2-litre petrol turbo engine, 185 kilowatts, 350 Newton meters of torque. This thing's got grunt. It's the power version, let's call it that, in the petrol versions. But of course, very distinctive. You know the XC40. You've got, of course, what they call the Thor's hammer on the headlights, etc. You've got all those features. You've got the LED headlights. I'm not going to go through all the spec because you know most of it already. XC40, of course, and this is in inscription spec level, which is the upper level but not the sporty R design, can I call it that? You've got the cladding, of course. You've got features like that because this is an SUV. And as I said, they call it the baby in the range, but it's not exactly a baby. Lovely 19-inch mag wheels on here. They fill the arches nicely, but they've got enough rubber to give you a pretty nice ride on this car as well. I must say I was quite happy with the overall ride. The XC40 is deceptive in a lot of ways. I keep calling it the baby of the Volvo range, but it's not actually that small. And if you have a look over here, just pop open the back door quickly, you'll get my picture and you'll get what I mean. Let me just jump in over here. Driver's seat, as always, set for myself. Check that legroom. Excuse me, this is pretty healthy legroom as far as I'm concerned. Headroom, reasonable. I won't say it's massive, but remembering, look at this gigantic big double panoramic sunroof we've got over here, which is a feature as well. Nice to have proper aircon vents in the back for the rear, and down below there is a USB for the back as well. So backseat passengers are catered for. And that's always what one wants to see and what one wants to know in any vehicle whatsoever. Something, just while we're busy with the back seats, is just bring the camera back here, because I want to show you something quite interesting. You've got Isofix in the back for child seats if you want, and very nice to drop the rear seats, which you can drop 2/3, 1/3. You press over here, a little warning thing comes up there, and did you notice the headrest flip down automatically? And you pop it down like that. But now, more important, what I want to show you is, note the seat belt over here. On many hatchbacks and SUVs, when you drop or lower or raise the rear seat, the seat belt gets in the way. Note it stays out of the way on this car. It's there, it's out of the way, and it's no issue whatsoever. And it's just a little touch, but I think it's an important touch, quite honestly. Something else to mention while we're coming around the car is I'm really taken by this color. Volvo call it Pebble Gray. And it just really suits the car as far as I'm concerned. Come round, of course, you've got the very distinctive but typical tail lights coming all the way around and curving around again. They look neat, they look good, they look impressive. I told you it's the T5. I didn't tell you it is all-wheel drive. So 8-speed automatic transmission, standard automatic. Powers all 4 wheels. Safety, road holding, little bit of dirt road ability, any of those that you may want, it certainly got them for you. Press the button and there the boot opens for you. And look at the size of the boot here. Again, I repeat my comment about the baby but not being exactly that small. Got a 12-volt socket over here in the boot area. Very convenient, very useful. And a dummy floor to conceal a few other items or laptops if you want. And a space saver spare wheel underneath. Don't like space savers, but certainly a lot better than run flats or these kits that you pump up the tire with if you've got a puncture, which don't work when you hit a pothole, that's for sure. But you can see everything about this car to me is neat, well finished, well refined. You'll see all the extra features just now from the inside, but it's got that SUV look to it, got space, got comfort, and that T5 engine's got the grunt. The XC40 is seriously built for cruising. A little bit of road rumble, you can hear it on a rougher section of road, but I mean that applies to pretty much every car. And you know, they do put the bigger wheels and tires on these cars, as we all know, which does contribute. You can hear the difference when you hit a slightly smoother patch of road, but just the very difference. But the thing about the XC40 that really, where I'm sitting right now, behind the wheel, it feels compact, it feels pretty small almost, yet this is not a small car. It's actually pretty big. Big space in the back seat, very big boot space, all-wheel drive, got 185 kilowatts under the bonnet, being the T5 version. It's kind of really a combination of so many things that I really do like, and that really makes sense for me on a personal level if I'm buying a car right now. And it kind of gives me a lot of what I'd like. Something else that I've done specifically is you've got a multi-mode transmission over here with sport, eco, etc., etc., even off-road setting, and there's individual setting as well. And I delved into the menus, going quite deep into them on the screen. You've got to delve a little bit. Can't do it while you're driving, you do it while you're parked or stationary. But I've set the car up very much with the weight of the steering and the responsiveness of the accelerator, etc. You can vary all of those, light, medium, or heavy, or whichever word you want to use for it, but to give you sharper or lesser reactions on some of the vital actions of the vehicle. And I've got it set up really as I would like it, with slightly more weight to the steering, not that you can see it while I'm on a straight piece of highway, but pretty much set nicely to how I like driving. And you just click that button to go into individual mode, and that gives you all that selectivity and all that availability to really set the car exactly how you feel you want to drive it. And I must say I enjoy that. Of course, this tablet screen that Volvo use, it's become familiar. Nice, easy. The nav is easy to program, which some aren't, as we all know. So overall it really does. It just comes down to being a very, very pleasant place to be, and to take a Sunday road cruise like we're doing now. Maybe lousy weather, maybe freezing cold. I'm pretty toasty and warm inside the car, that's for sure. Well, I never know if this is a good or bad idea, but I've got old Leadfoot driving the XC40 right now.
Good morning, Alan.
How's it, William?
All right, thank you. We're in a Volvo. I have to ask you.
What do you got to ask me?
Have you given up on life?
Why?
Has your career not gone the way you thought it would? Are you stuck in a job that's boring, dreary? Hate your wife, hate your kids, hate your dog because it leaves dog eggs all over your garden? Settle for a Volvo.
Wasn't
that the old sort of
That was
idea?
then. That was then. This is now, okay? Welcome to the 21st century.
How has Volvo changed?
Oh, come on.
Staggered.
Look at where we are.
No,
Look at where we're sitting right now.
I'm absolutely staggered. This car is so much fun to drive. It is.
I mean, it suits your Leadfoot driving style with that 185 kilowatts.
And I tell you what,
I've been hanging on for dear life half the time while you're driving.
it could do with even more, but it gets going with a surprising degree of alacrity. It is unbelievable. I thought the Volvo was an old man's boring car.
Not anymore. Not any of the Volvos anymore.
This is not.
No, come on. I mean,
this is not.
You're 30 years out of date.
Well, I think Volvo have been 30 years behind, but they've certainly now caught up.
Not in safety. They've always been right up there with their safety spec.
That is true.
I mean, let's give them kudos for that.
To the point where you can't actually turn it off.
Yeah, well, there's that, but still, let's not moan about that right now, okay?
No, I'm enjoying the car.
Yeah.
Much more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Now look, the fuel consumption is a bit of a concern to me, I'll be honest, and you're not helping it. We're
sitting at 8.9 litres per 100.
Yeah, which by my books is not good. By your books is pretty economical with your driving style.
It's not terrible. I mean, I must say you've done 3/4 of a tank already, so that's quite an average.
Yeah.
I've done maybe 20-30 k's on the car.
And it went up, but we won't comment on that.
You went up slightly.
And that's the overall figure after I've been driving, so don't forget that.
We haven't finished yet, and we've got 130 k's before we run out of juice completely, I guess.
Yeah, well, there is that problem. But, I mean, you know, the XC40 is the baby SUV in the range, but it's not a little car. It really isn't. Odd Leadfoot's putting some stuff in the back there and doing things like that and driving like a complete maniac over here. I better not show you the speedo right now. But William, what do you think?
Quiet, refined, comfortable, got all the toys that I can see.
Smooth.
It's smooth.
And all the oomph even you could want.
The get up and go is remarkable. It's a 2-litre turbo.
Yeah.
And there is almost no lag. I'm enjoying the gearbox, I have to say. I think it's in the right gear at the right time, which is similar to what we had on a car that we were on the launch on recently, which was exceptional.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, yeah, it's a solid car. I wait to see what the list price on this particular version is, with a great deal of interest.
We'll pick that up a bit later in the video.
We've just come off this thing's big German rival counterpart.
No, don't say it.
And it's going to be interesting.
All right, well, there's Leadfoot's opinion.
Cheers.
Starting off behind the wheel, as we always do, let's have a look at the instrumentation. I've deliberately actually left the engine off, and I'm going to start it now, because you'll see there how it pops up and tells you, and normally it would come up and tell you the extra safety systems that this car's got, the city safe and the IntelliSafe and the pedestrian safe, because obviously being a Volvo, it's got them all, and I'm going to leave it at that. Now the critical number is down there in the corner. We've done about 500-600 kilometers on this test already. We've done a fair distance, averaging 9.3 litres per 100. Now, by my standards, that's pretty heavy, I must be honest. But then again, I've enjoyed the power, and I have to mention that. And I gave it to Leadfoot for a short drive, and he enjoyed the power even more than me. But that's just the way he is. But it's okay for what the car is, but I must admit I did find it a touch heavy in some ways. But let's just leave it at that. That is what you can expect on this car, and I think most owners will get those kind of figures. You can configure through, I'm not going to go through it. You know what that's all about. You've obviously got active cruise control. You've got all your features over there that you'd expect from a Volvo and from a car of this level. You've got the interesting treatment of the air vents over here. They're very neat, very effective. And you've got electric adjustment on both driver's and passenger seat in front. So well done on that Volvo. Not going to mention, but another opposition recently didn't provide that. Let's leave it there. You've got this interesting effect over here, this so carbon fiber or whatever you want to call it over here, and 2 memories on the driver's seat as well. So you've got all of those sort of features. Now, of course, we come across to the center stack over here, and you've got the tablet screen that is standard on Volvo as well. And let's just look at 1 or 2 things. Standard navigation, thank you for that, I appreciate. And then you go into the menus. Now, this is interesting because, among other things, I've got to point out, when you start fiddling with these, please rather do it when the car's stationary. Simple as that. You can't really mess too much. But if you go into settings, for example, there you'll see, look at all the options it gives you. For example, my car. Let's have a look. And there you go, and you can set everything indeed. And just drop the camera down slightly, because I want to show you a button over here that says drive mode. And that's an interesting one. Now, go back to the screen, and I'll press the button, and it gives you the options you've got in your drive modes. Now, the individual one, for example, you go here, and you see it says individual drive mode. And you can set up look at this. I think this is great fun. You can preset now which one you want as a starting value, how you want the driver's display characteristics, the dynamic, how you want the steering force. In other words, do you want high, medium, or low force on the steering wheel? In other words, do you want more feel or less feel? And do you want, for example, powertrain? Do you want dynamic comfort and brake characteristics even? So you can set up very simply how you want the car set up for yourself in individual mode, which is what I did, and I've driven it a lot in individual on this test. And then I've just found right now, finally, where I could switch out the stop-start, because there's nowhere else to switch it out, and it drives me mad, and I hate stop-start, as I think most of my regular viewers will know. But that's me. Let's leave it at that. But there you go. Hopefully it's switched out now. So, okay, fine, done. It's just finding these things sometimes. But the system generally works very, very well. Nice and easy to set up, etc. So you've got that. Thank you very much. Drop down. You've, of course, got your air conditioning system you use through the screen as well. And there you go. Easy enough, clear enough, and it's done and finished. You come over here. You've got, believe it or not, still a cigarette lighter, which, I mean, I don't know when last I've seen one in a car, but anyway. You've got two USBs over here for the front, and you've got an inductive charging pad over there, which again is useful. With a cigarette lighter, believe it or not, there's even an ashtray still in this car. Don't know when last I've seen one of those. The 8-speed automatic, smooth, comfortable, easy, does the job brilliantly. It's a push-pull, if I can call it that. But what does sometimes confuse is it needs a double push to engage reverse, or a double pull to engage drive. Once or twice I thought I'd put it in gear and I was still in neutral. It's things like that that when you get a car you get used to very quickly. In my life, changing cars every 5 minutes, it's a little bit more complicated. But you get there, so who cares? And interesting, engage park simply by pressing that little button over there. Again, the same. You've got an electronic parking brake. Don't have to tell you anything about that. And there you go. That's an auto hold function. Again, standard, simple, nothing much to it. You've got another little hidey hole slot over there. I think, if I remember correctly, I was told originally could be a rubbish bin or something like that. And then you've got a nice big storage console over there as well, between the driver, and of course doubles up as an armrest. So you've got all the features. I mentioned the panoramic roof just now. You've got your full complement of airbags. You've got Volvo's typical full complement of safety features that go on and on and on, including autonomous emergency braking, which of course can be very effective and sometimes too effective. Something else you've got that I just want to show you quickly is, of course, on the screen, having done the double, you've got your camera system. And there you can see you can choose, for example, to go to the front camera, you can go to the 360 view, you can put lines or take off lines, and you can use the park assist feature as well. So you've got all of these on the camera system, and there you go. You can see how easy it is and how well it works. That's what I'm trying to show you. Good camera system, nice and useful, and of course big safety feature, which is something you always want. Well, what does it come down to? I've told you you've got the power. I think that 185 kilowatts, 350 Newton meters, this car can shift when you want it to shift. It really can. And it can go. It's a performance version, which is great if you want that. You can get the T3 or T4 if you want to go far better on economy and compromise on the power. But in base inscription form, as you would see it here, minus some of the extras, you're looking at approximately 820,000 Rand. Very market competitive, probably slightly cheaper than some of the opposition even. And you always know when you're buying a Volvo, you're getting that solid build quality and safety, and more safety. Not dull and boring anymore either, that's for sure. Not like Volvos of 20 or 30 years ago. It's a distinctive car, it's a fun car. My complaint has to be the fuel consumption on this one, if I've got to find anything to pick out. It's not bad, but you should know me by now. I prefer a lot better, but that's me. But if you're in this premium, medium SUV category that you're looking, you would be crazy if you didn't put this onto your list of contenders to go and have a look at. I'd like to put it that way. You get a 5-year, 100,000 kilometer full maintenance plan included in the deal as well. Check it out for yourself. I think it's worthwhile. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor. See you next time.